three estates of the French society. What did they want and how did it lead to the revolution?
The First Estate, also known as the Clergy, contained about 130,000 members of the Catholic Church. The church was very powerful and had an ideological stronghold over the country and its people. They played an important role in the social and political systems of France.
The church was very wealthy and was a majority owner of the land in France. They rented the land but avoided paying tax to the state. This is what upset many members of the Third Estate.
On the night before the French Revolution, the church was in shambles and facing a lot of criticism. The church wanted everything to stay the same, but the Third Estate wanted more say in government and society. Many people wanted more accountability from the upper members of the clergy, which ultimately led to the revolution.
Yes. The corruption of the clergy during this time in France is quite vast. Many officials in the church used their position solely to acquire personal wealth, often at the expense of the commoners. The nobility was simply just as bad. Many of the nobles held vast titles in France only because of their birth, not ability. And over time, these leaders drove the people of France to seek radical solutions.
The Second Estate was comprised of men and women who possessed aristocratic titles. It was a group of people who only made up 1 to 1.5% of the total population, but owned 25 to 30% of the total land. The nobility was a group who was extremely wealthy, but also very corrupt and very lazy.
For the winter, the queen had generally 12 full dresses, 12 underdresses, called fancy dresses, and 12 rich hoop petticoats for the card and supper parties in the smaller apartments. She had as many for the summer. Those for the spring served likewise for the autumn. All these dresses were discarded at the end of each season, unless indeed she retained some that she particularly liked.
Throughout this whole process, the nobility wanted to expand their power at the expense of the monarchy. They also wanted to maintain their control over positions in the military, church, and government. Also, they were tax exempt on everything like the clergy.
The Third Estate was the overwhelming majority of the French population. There were many different levels of the Third Estate by occupation, education, and wealth. Many of the new Enlightenment ideas were very appealing to the members of the Third Estate.
The cause of the French Revolution was due to the near collapse of finances within the government because of war cost and noble expenses. To fix this, the Third Estate wanted to bring a constitutional government to France so that the First and Second Estates did not have any privileges. They also wanted to have more representation in Parliament, so they demanded each deputy have one vote.
The representatives of the French people organized as a National Assembly, believing that ignorance, neglect, or contempt of the rights of man are the sole cause of public calamities, and of the corruption of governments, have determined to set forth in a solemn declaration the natural, unalienable, and sacred rights of man, in order that this declaration, being constantly before all members of the social body, shall remind them continually of their rights and duties, in order that the acts of the legislative power, as well as those of the executive power.
The individuals of the Third Estate were the everyday, hard-working people of France, and have been taken advantage of by the church and crown for years. They finally had enough and revolted against the leaders of France.
The revolution could have been avoided, but due to the greed and stubbornness of the First and Second Estate, the Third Estate finally had enough.